Let us continue with the conversation. You are 40, you have a 9 to 5 job, and you are anxious about the fact that your financial health is concerning. You are working hard. If you are in that situation, stay with me because I've been there and I do want to share what will make you confident, what will be a revelation that you have what it takes. All that you need to do is to package your experience in a manner that adds income without a side hustle that is an add on, a side hustle that says start something that is totally new. That is not the gist of this conversation. If you are with me, just type side hustle because I am going to be arguing against that. After all, you have lived experience. So stay with me on this one. You see, your lived experience, your value is in your head. It is just that you have not realized that you can unpack it to something valuable because there are other people who are in exactly the same situation as you've been before, and they are prepared to pay you for that. Take, for instance, a divorce. Take, for instance, job loss, and then you are now employed because at one stage you were jobless. Take, for instance, the fact that you were betrayed by a friend. When it comes to relationships, you can counsel that person and take, for instance, that there is somebody who is so frustrated at work that he or she is thinking of resigning. You've been in that situation and you can counsel that person. What we usually say, and I hear this, remember I was a lawyer in case you are new to this channel. I was a lawyer and I listened to a myriad of problems. And then there would be a person who says, I was an HR manager. You see, this is important. You were an HR manager. However, what did that, being an HR manager, entail? It involved the department, your company, sending people to your office because maybe a person is so frustrated that he or she is thinking of resigning, which will be a loss to the company. That is underneath being an HR person. Say, for instance, there is a unit that requires training when it comes to leadership and just working together. They send it to your office because you are an HR manager. What I'm saying is, underneath the job titles, there is something that you can unpack and package, and then you say, bingo, I've been doing this for well over 20 years. I have met frustrated people, more than 100 or 200, sitting and weeping, and I have helped them. So I have a skill. Even if I were to lose my job, there is this skill that I will unpack and make a living and maybe start a business, a small business with a small company that requires your services. If, let us say, you were in finance, you may sell your expertise to a small company that doesn't want a full-time finance person, and then you are fine. And you can do this even if you have your day job. That is the point I am making here when it comes to packaging your skill in such a way that there is additional income without you having to go to a new market. You have what it takes. Stay with me now and do jot down that I have what it takes. Jot it down, please. That is important because there are so many, women in particular, we do tend to underestimate and downplay how value we are, and do jot down value. The second part I would like to shine light on is that now that I have indicated that deep down your job title, there is this hidden expertise that you can just repackage into something valuable. And then the second point I want us to look at is that, now this is important. Listen, this is very, very important. Companies or organizations have budgets, they have departments, there are budgets, or individuals have needs, and they are prepared to pay whoever will bring about transformation so that those needs are met. They are not interested in your money. Get me straight. It is not about you paying them. They want something that is going to move them from ground zero to high up so that they feel better, so that they feel transformed. And same thing with companies. Companies want additional expertise or skills, and they have a budget for it. All that you need to do is to do a little bit of research and find out who and which company has a budget and is prepared to pay for what you can offer. You can do research, you can talk to people, you can visit your mobile and scroll and send that inquiry to friends. You will be surprised. I surprised myself when I left my 9-to-5 job. At one stage, I was in a fog. I had forgotten that I had so much to offer, that the years I had spent as a lawyer, I repeated, there was repetition and repetition of counseling, of guiding, of explaining how things are supposed to be done. And bingo, when there was a light bulb, I then realized that I had a lot to offer. And I started just communicating with people. I communicated with friends. I communicated with companies I had done work for. And today, my diary is busy because my expertise is in demand, and I do it in a flexible environment. I am not under pressure, and I give it my best. But I started by volunteering my services because I was marketing myself. I was indicating to people that I'm available. And one thing led to another. There is another experience I want to share with you. When I was in this journey of self-discovery, when I started jotting down the things I had done and the things I had enjoyed, I then discovered that I love writing. And I started writing ebooks. And next week, my book is going to be published. And I have spent 2 years working on this book. I'm excited about it because the 10 chapters actually capture the lessons I learned when I worked closely with Nelson Mandela. I learned a lot, and I am now putting it out there because there are people who want to know, who are prepared to pay me for those lessons because they want change in their personal circumstances, in their financial circumstances, in relationships, and the list goes on. I didn't know. It took me 10 years to realize that I have something to offer beyond being a lawyer. Underneath, there were many other things. And today, whether you have a divorce problem, I am there. HR matters, I am there. Legal matters, I'm there. Writing and public speaking, I'm there. I didn't know this until I left my 9-to-5 job, because for me, I was just sailing without being intentional in my life. I was defining myself in terms of that title, that status, whereas there is much more than that. The same thing applies to you. There is much more than that. Take, for instance, if you are a mother and you are in India, Pakistan, Indonesia, Bangladesh, just being a mother is very, very important. You make sure that the household is looked after if you are a full-time housewife. If you are working, a working mother, again, you are multi-skilled, bringing up children, making sure that your family is warm, it's looked after, the meals are properly prepared. Let me cite another example. This is the wife of a judge who passed away a few years ago. She then discovered that her husband did not enjoy Gujarati cuisine that was prepared by other people other than herself. She started experimenting, preparing those meals, and friends were prepared to pay her for that. She grew, and today her business, it's a restaurant. She's trained people just on preparing a savory Gujarat cuisine. It started from there. As a housewife, a wife who used to travel together with her judge husband, and then she just turned that skill to a lucrative business for a high-class restaurant. You too can do it. So, what am I saying? What I'm saying is, and do stay with me because this is very, very important. You see, when it comes to our job titles, when it comes to our lived experience, we don't realize that underneath there are many, many other things that are related to the job title. For instance, I used an example of an HR manager, but you are a counselor, you are a coach, you are an advisor, you are a mentor. You can unpack this, and there are people or organizations that are prepared to pay you for that. It is valuable. Don't take that for granted. You have value. So, I call this building a container, a new container. It's not a new business, a new container where you house your valuable expertise. The content of that container is not new. However, what is new? It is the container. The container, as I've indicated with me, it became my consultancy business. It became my consulting business. It became my public speaking business. And today I have written a book that will be published. It's in this one container. What about you? Definitely, I want you just jot down 3 things. Just 3 things where you can house your expertise is a container. If, for instance, you have always been environmentally sensitive, you love nature, what about gardening? And gardening and sharing your expertise, what you've learned in gardening. If, for instance, you are somebody who just loves walking in nature, how about maybe having a club? And this club will just go hiking, and you package the whole thing in such a way that people are prepared to pay you to be part of your hiking club. Isn't that fascinating? I've indicated something about just preparing special dishes, etc., your signature dishes, and you find that people are prepared to even place orders over the weekend. You prepare and serve those people, and they are prepared to pay you for that. So there is a lot. All is not lost when you are over 40. Even if you are over 35 already, you have started accumulating variable skills that you can turn into something valuable that people are prepared for. As a takeaway, and this, I want you tomorrow, can you come up with one thing that is your container? Remember, I've just indicated that. Jot down 3 things, just 3 things that you want to house into that container. It may be mentorship. It may be holding an afternoon class to look after children when they are doing their homework. And then the parents, instead of paying for aftercare, they will pay you because you are this very special person who is even liked, loved by children. You can do that in case you are in semi-retirement. You can be a part-time bookkeeper if your other expertise is finance. A bookkeeper for a small company that just wants your personal touch. The list is endless. I've enjoyed sharing this with you, and I am doing it because what I do know beyond a shadow of doubt is that in addition to your day job, there is something you can do, even if it is once a week, that will bring additional income. Next video, we are going to be asking a question. When we have this additional income that's going to be flowing in, how do we make sure that it compounds? So we're going to be talking about saving and investment, particularly compounding. Don't forget that what I am urging you to do, you need to do every day. Think about it. Commit yourself to it every day so that even your positive thinking, your thoughts compound into actions, and actions that will bring you wealth, health, and freedom to live the life you want to live with your loved ones, as well as just with yourself. Thank you very much for having watched this video, and I look forward to being with you in the next video. Do remember, some of you forget just to subscribe, like this video, and share it with other women, even men for that matter. Share it. The more the merrier. But subscribe. See you in the next video.